Welcome to CTV's Friday Night Football. Live from Taylor Field in Regina, the undefeated Montreal Concord and the once-beaten Saskatchewan Roughriders. Good evening, everybody. You know, I'm convinced we've got a good one for you on this Friday night. So far, the story of the CFL has been the Montreal Concordes, undefeated in 1985, but I think hard-pressed tonight. This is a much improved band of Saskatchewan Roughriders, and they've got a very enthusiastic crowd here to back them up tonight. Weather-wise in Regina, it's come up a little bit chilly, and it's also breezy and cloudy, which means we could have rain before the game is over. But I don't think weather conditions are going to be a factor. These two teams are very fired up. I think it's going to be a marvelous football game. For more on the individual teams, here's Dale Isaac and Frank Rigney.
Thank you very much, Al. Hello again, everyone. When you talk about the Montreal Concord, give that entire organization a lot of credit for showing tremendous patience over the past 3 years. They started with nothing, and they've come a long way. They showed signs late last season. They built a strong defense. Now, Frank, they have an offense to go with it.
Well, Dale, I'm really excited to see them for the first time live in 1985. They are a very exciting football club. In fact, both of these teams are. We've got the #1 and the #3 teams in the country in scoring. And the reason is Turner Gill, as far as the Montreal Concordes are concerned, the rushing leader in the entire Canadian Football League. And a great 6'6" target for him to throw the football to, Nick Araki, a big dominant force in the first win over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at home for the Montreal Concord. How about Saskatchewan?
Well, you know, when the Riders were looking ahead to 1985, they figured they'd be strong defensively. But so far, it's been the offense, the big story. Joe Pauw leading the CFL after the first 2 weeks. He's already set a couple of club records in single game marks. Ray Elgart is his favorite receiver. He leads the league in catches so far. Really, they have been the story for Saskatchewan. And right now, the Riders, of course, are looking for a little better play from their defense. Jack Dota was not happy with the second half in Toronto last week.
Dale, he's instituted a new defense for tonight's football game, trying to contain Turner Gill, because Gill certainly likes to take off with that football around to the outside. Containment is going to be the key to the football game. As far as the Saskatchewan Roughriders are concerned, they have to keep Turner Gill inside.
This CFL telecast is brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you.
And Mr. Carl Hoffman with our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, good patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, thou true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Lord, keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The man in charge of this football game tonight at Taylor Field in Regina, Bud Ulrich, and his officiating crew, Ken Piggott, Bernie Prusco, Hans Vanderdoe, Gord Johnson, and Dave Barr, and we're just about set to get this one underway. It is a chilly night in Regina as far as the temperature is concerned, because normal high for a day like this time of year in Regina would be about 26, 19 degrees right now, so it's a little on the cool side, and a bit of a breeze as usual. And the Montreal Concord will have the breeze at their back to get this football game underway. And Roy Kurtz will do the kickoff. As you look at Denny Ferdinand, the former Montreal Concord, who went over to Winnipeg and then was released by the Bombers and picked up by Saskatchewan. This is his first game, and Roy Kurtz kicks it off, and Denny Ferdinand on the return from his own 5-yard line. Ferdinand brings it back out across the 25 to about the 28, 29-yard line, a return of 23 yards, and Nick Araki downfield to make the tackle. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders go on offense against the wind here in the first quarter.
Dale, as you know, in the pregame show, Al McCann mentioned he didn't think the weather would be much of a factor. As you take a look at the lineup offensively for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Ray Elgard just having an outstanding first couple of games, the CFL's leading receiver. But, you know, Dale, I do think that this wind might affect the kicking game, not so much the passing.
First down, Saskatchewan, and a handoff to Denny Ferdinand. Wasn't expected to start the ball game, but Jack Goda puts him in there, and Ferdinand is brought down after a pickup of only about a yard, maybe a yard and a half, and Martin makes the tackle. Paul Martin, number 72, from the defensive tackle position. Joe Pau, the leading passer in the CFL after the first 2 weeks of the regular season.
Interesting choice by Joe Galat to take that win in this opening quarter rather than the football. He knows his prairie winds can switch around quite easily.
Chris DeFrance, and he'll lose yardage back at the 26-yard line as the Montreal defense was there quickly, led by Harry Skipper, number 26, the corner on the left side of the Montreal defense. And Pau will leave the playing field, and Terry Leschuk, the young punter, will be in for Saskatchewan. Pau had pressure right in his face, and he threw that ball, and again, Leschuk ready to punt.
What a year he started off with, 68%. You know, Leschuk's only had a 35.5-yard average, Dale, but Jocko was telling me that he's only had 3 kicks with the wind all year so far, and he's kicking against it again tonight.
And it wasn't very deep, and it bounced back towards the Saskatchewan line of scrimmage, and it was picked up at that point by Patterson, and he's brought down by Billy Jackson. 22 yards. And the Montreal Concorde, with the wind at their backs, take over great field position, Saskatchewan 46-yard line.
Well, Joe Galat's strategy, his choice certainly is working. You saw, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Turner Gill, the CFL's leading rusher. Excellent speed at the wide receivers and a very veteran, consistent offensive line. The least sacks against this ball club than anybody in the CFL in '84.
Turner Gill trying to hit Todd Brown and Terry Irvin, the CFL's leading interceptor this season and highest among active players in the CFL with 49 in his career now. He's already got 4 in 1985. Was there to break the play up. It'll be second down and 10 Montreal. Talking about the Concorde offensive line, pound for pound, possibly the biggest in the CFL, averaging 6'4.5" and 269 pounds.
Yeah, Dale, the 2 offensive tackles have lost about 50 pounds each.
Yeah, they're down under 300 now.
Yeah, that's right.
Tomaselli takes the pass from Turner Gill, gets to the Saskatchewan 30-yard line. First down, Glenn Suter there to make the tackle, the safety, a pickup of 16 yards.
Tomaselli, of course, the rookie who is one of only 2 changes for the Concordes in '85, scored the winning touchdown against the Calgary Stampeders. He does a good job of getting it ready of Eddie Lowe, just turns back to the outside. Ball right on the money by Turner Gill.
Dwayne Wilson, the Rookie of the Year in the CFL in 1984, is stopped after a pickup of a couple of yards by Eddie Lowe. Gary Doolin also there. Doolin back in the lineup after going down early in the Ottawa game and missing the Toronto game. As you look at Dwayne Wilson and head coach Joe Galat. Galat said yesterday he wants to see Wilson used more as a pass receiver from here on in.
Dale, you'll see Jerry DiTilio, the veteran quarterback, over there with Joe Galat, hand signaling into Turner Gill. That's the way the Concordes bring their plays onto the field. They don't use an individual to come out and tell the young quarterback.
Second down and a long 8 for Turner Gill. He guns it to the sidelines, and stepping out of bounds with the reception, Todd Brown. I think he'll be just short of the first, but it'll be less than a yard to go for the Concorde. And they'll send short yardage team in, I believe. Third down and a little bit. First possession of the ball game for the Concorde, and they took over at the Saskatchewan 46, and they've moved down to the 21, and it's third and about half a yard to go.
What a great job Joe Galat has done with this ball club, Dale, as you mentioned. General manager, head coach, and got them excited.
And they stuck with the young people, too. That's what I like. Tomaselli flies for the first down.
The crowd here thought that Blake Nill, number 60, was offside, the right offensive tackle, but apparently he got back in time, and Montreal picks up another first down.
Suter making the tackle. I mean, McDermott. Suter was also there, but didn't have to make the hit. Blake Nill.
He's down from 320 and playing at only 285. How's that?
Senior veteran of the University of Calgary. It is now first down, Concordes, Saskatchewan, 17. Dwayne Wilson. But back to the line of scrimmage and was pushed back. He may have gained a little bit. Rick Goltz led the way defensively for Saskatchewan, number 63. Cedric Kelly, number 48, the new linebacker, also in the play.
You see the signals coming in to Turner Gill as the Saskatchewan defense is toughening up now. It'll be 2nd and 10. Gary Doolin has just returned to the lineup after missing 1 3/4 games. And Cedric Kelly, they're really high on this outside linebacker, number 48. They got great speed on the outside and veteran defensive backfield.
No gain. It's 2nd down and 10. Screen is set up. Tomaselli unable to hang on to it. Incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd down, and we'll take a look at the field goal unit led by Roy Kurtz, who has yet to miss a field goal try this year. He's 4 for 4. Bad for the rookie place kicker who was drafted by BC in '84 and then traded to the Concord in June of '84 and did not play last year.
Interesting deal. In that first drive, the Concord tried to run outside about 3 different times, and they were not successful. Saskatchewan very concerned about that containment particularly on Turner Gill, but that shuts down that outside game when they bring those linebackers up like that.
Jerry DiTilio holding at the 24-yard line, and Kurtz opens the scoring in this football game. Montreal on top of Saskatchewan, 3-0. We'll return to Taylor Field in just a moment. Only 3 points scored against this ball club. The Concord took over after a short punt at the Saskatchewan 46 and had to settle for a Roy Kurtz field goal. And now the Roughriders have the ball for the 2nd time in this game. They were unable to move it on their first possession. First down, Saskatchewan from their own 35. We have 10 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. Montreal Concordes looking for their 3rd straight win. Saskatchewan trying to get back on the winning track after a heartbreaking loss in Toronto last week. Out to Craig Ellis. A lot of room over there. Vic Stevenson in front blocking. First down, Saskatchewan, as Ellis dives across the 45 to the 46.5-yard line. Aaron Hill making the stop, a 12-yard gain, but he ran a lot further than that because that little screen pass was set up way behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, it was set up extremely well, too, rolling out to the left side, Pau, and he hit that screen extremely well. Ellis has been a real major contributor offensively, both catching the football and running with it. Caught 10 for 151 yards and gained 114 on the ground so far in 85.
Ellis again, he caught 91 passes last year to lead all receivers. And Ellis takes it to about the 49. Shanconi making the tackle. It'll be a pickup of about 3 yards on the play for Saskatchewan. With 8:55 remaining first quarter, here's Al.
You know, the offensive line of the Montreal Concord asked me to pass along all the best to Mrs. Glenn Keeble. There's Glenn, the veteran center of the Concord. His wife, Elaine, gave birth to a baby daughter, Stacy, last night. And boy, the Concords are not only productive on the field, but off the field, too. That's the 4th baby this year.
Steve Rocky getting to Joe Pau. There is a penalty marker at the line of scrimmage. Procedure call against Saskatchewan, so they'll push the ball back deeper into Saskatchewan territory as Rocky got to the quarterback, and it'll be 3rd down and about 15.
Declined, 3rd down.
Had a punt of only 22 yards the first time out. Gets a much better kick this time. On the return for the Montreal Concord, Jeff Patterson. They have a good return team, and the Roughriders do a good job of getting downfield to stop it. Ken Moore, number 74, holds the return to 9 yards after a 37-yard punt. First down Montreal from their 40.
Jocko and his staff are very, very well aware of the ability of this Montreal Football Club returning kicks. We mentioned it twice in our conversations before the game. There's a guy that we wanted to talk about for just a second, Dale, because Al McCann was talking about the Montreal team being productive on and off the field. Todd Brown and his wife are expecting twins on Grey Cup Day. How's that?
Whoa.
They hope it's a triple celebration, obviously.
Penalty against Saskatchewan.
Major foul. Number 27, Saskatchewan. First down.
Young Glenn Suter, safety. So that puts the ball at midfield instead of at the Montreal 40. First down, Concord. Montreal in front 3-0 on the Williams field goal. Pressure on the quarterback, Gill, and he guns it in there for completion to Todd Brown at the Saskatchewan 45, 46-yard line.
Well, the father-to-be does a great job of hanging on to that football. There's a good shot of it from the end zone camera.
Fran McDermott, the injured Roughrider, on the play.
You know, talking to Joe Galette about Brown, he says he's a really tough kid for a wide receiver. He needed to be right there. They got good speed on the outside with he and Jeff Pattison, number 80. Pattison's got the great hands, but he's only got one catch so far in the 85 season. Of course, it was for a touchdown.
McDermott up and leaving the playing field, and he'll be replaced at that left defensive halfback spot by Fran McDermott. That's McDermott coming out. It'll be Dave Singh, number 22, replacing McDermott. It is second down. About a yard to go for the Concord. The ball at the Saskatchewan 46. Fumble by Gill. He gets it back, picks up a first down. Broken play, and the Concord will get another series to work with. Billy Jackson there to stop Turner Gill. All he was looking for was first down yardage.
Very fortunate to retain possession of this football. It was out of Gill's hands for a second or so, but he knew what to do with it. We got 7:23 remaining in the first quarter here. And the Concord, led by Joe Galette, lead by 3.
Tag 14 in motion. Turner Gill gets away from Cedric Kelly. Rick Goldson hot pursuit. Gill will take it out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 40-yard line. It'll be a gain of about 2 yards on the play.
What that running ability does, though, Dale, we talked about that so often. Not only is he a rushing leader, and we don't expect that, obviously, to continue, but he has the ability to buy that time when he goes outside, get away from that initial rush.
Joe Galette said yesterday that Turner Gill is a much better drop-back passer than he has shown in the first 2 ball games. He's really pleased with the way Gill has developed that way. Of course, with that running ability, it certainly is an added threat. Montreal quarterback Turner Gill to Mike McTagg. A great catch inside the 20-yard line. He was wide open, and Billy Jackson got back to put him down again after he had got up. A pickup of 25 yards for the former Calgary Stampeder.
What a great catch. Gill almost throws this ball too far in front of him. Good possibility, of course, that wind is affecting the throws down there as Montreal has it at its back, but Mike McTagg, a very consistent football player in his years in the CFL, comes up with a great catch.
First down, Saskatchewan 15. Screen to Dwayne Wilson. Hit from behind by Kelly at about the 13-yard line, so the gain is just 2 yards. It'll be second down and 8. In talking to Turner Gill yesterday about the Rider defense, I asked him what he thought was the strong point about him. He said he was really impressed with the Rider defensive backs. He thought they were very, very quick and very aggressive going after the football.
Well, I like the linebackers, too. They got a lot of mobility in those 4 guys, Jackson, Lowe, Reed, and Kelly. There's that ability to run again.
They come up to force some, and Turner Gill slips off Eddie Lowe, which is not something you'll see very often at all. Touchdown for Montreal as Eddie Lowe just missed a tackle.
Boy, you're absolutely right, Dale. You don't see Eddie Lowe miss him very often. But you will right here. Lowe is number 42, and watch the second-year quarterback from Montreal keep his balance. Lowe just slides off his back, and the Concord go ahead by 12 points, and hope it'll be 13 in just a moment. Well, what a threat he is when he gets out there by himself.
Kurtz converts the touchdown by Turner Gill, and now the Montreal Concord have opened up a 10-0 lead over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We'll be back in just a moment.
And Gill, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, and he shows you why right there. A very much more confident young man in his second year of pro football. There's your drive. 13-yard touchdown.
I don't know. With the kickoff by Kurtz. Denny Ferdinand from the 14-yard line, starting right. He turns it on. He had some blockers right up the middle there, but Montreal broke through to stop him right at the 30. And the Saskatchewan offense back on the field, a 16-yard return, and Turner Gill has directed the Montreal Concord to a 10-0 first quarter lead. We still have 5:08 remaining. Araki made the tackle on that kickoff return. Joe Powpow.
68% coming into tonight's game. Woo.
Great start he's off to. Ferdinand, 5-yard gain out to the Saskatchewan 35. The tackle made by linebacker Paul Gray, number 42. Powpow's in great shape this year. He worked real hard in the offseason. I think all the talk when Jocko moved in here about Homer Jordan becoming the #1 quarterback got Joe bearing down a little bit. And really in preseason he didn't establish himself as #1, but as soon as that opening season game came along, he was sharp.
Both of the quarterbacks of Saskatchewan were injured in that preseason, but Joe has certainly come back from his chest injury.
And throws that one past the intended receiver, Chris DeFrance. So Powpow not off to a good start here in this ball game, as the Roughriders will have to punt again. This will be Leschuk's third punt.
Bad start. 3 out of 4 is not so bad.
Well, 75% is great when you're picking up first downs and moving it down the field, but they're not exactly doing that.
That's right.
Dale, talking to Powpow just before the game, he was telling me about how much he's learned in the 8 years in the Canadian League. He said, now, I only wish I had this knowledge and I had my old body back.
Right.
Don't we all?
Good bounce this time for Leszczuk, and Patterson on the return. And good downfield coverage again by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the Montreal Concord will have their worst field position of the opening quarter. Mike Anderson made the tackle. The Concord lead it 10-0, and we'll be back to Taylor Field and Regina right after this. By Terry Leszczuk traveled 44 yards, and the return was -2.
You know, Dale, this is the first time that the Montreal folks have been able to see their football club on a road games in 1985, and Joe Galat asked us to pass along a message to make sure you tune in to see the Concords all the way. It's a 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon show on CFCN TV at Channel 12. This Saturday, however, is a special showtime. It'll air at 12:30. Host Ralph Lockwood and Luis Jose Mondu and head coach Joe Galat will bring you profiles on players. This week it'll be bachelors Dwayne Wilson and Tony Johns, and how they're coping with a bilingual city, and how they're coping with all those beautiful Montreal ladies too. Plus Concord highlights of tonight's game and more. 12:30 on Channel 12 CFCF TV tomorrow.
We saw Larry Titley, the backup offensive lineman, taken up on that punt return. Now it's first down Montreal from their own 29.5. Penalty marker down. Nikaraki off his fingertips. Going against Eddie Walker, the newcomer in that Rider defensive backfield. Looked like procedure call against the Concord.
Actually, pretty good defensive coverage by the Concord. By the Saskatchewan Roughriders on the Concord. You can see Terry Irving dropping back. He's right here on that corner spot. Araki will come out from that slot back position and make a move like that. But you can also see what that size does for Araki. Any sort of thrown football in his territory, he's got a big advantage over those defensive backs.
Montreal number 79, first down repeated.
Araki, of course, was the Concord in motion.
Nicaragua, the 1979 territorial protected for the Montreal Alouettes at that time. Jerry DiTilio was protected in 75, and Doug Scott was protected in 1980. So they've got some good years, good football out of some of the territorial picks, which of course are no longer in the Canadian Football League. Dwayne Wilson taking the pass from Turner Gill and got back to the 25-yard line. It was first down and 15 from the 24, so it's a gain of 1, but there's a penalty marker down as the Riders were late hitting Turner Gill.
Rick Moore, I believe 76 was the rider in there too late, and it's going to be a first down for the Concorde.
Second rough play call and marching off 15 yards against the Riders in this opening quarter.
Major foul. Roughing the passer, number 76, Saskatchewan. First down.
Rick Moore, who leads the Saskatchewan Roughriders in sacks with 4 of them, is called for a late hit.
There's a great picture by our ISO director, Freddie Fleming, of the shot in the back. Not much for the fans at Taylor Field here to cheer about so far.
Draw play to Dwayne Wilson, another penalty marker, a gain of 1 yard, and Wilson stopped at the 41-yard line. This will be a penalty against Montreal. The tackle made by Glenn Suter. Here's Larry Titley being attended to.
Well, Dr. Brown and the training staff are concerned about veteran lineman Larry Titley's right knee, injured in that last play. And as you can see, Larry's in some discomfort. Let's hope it's not too serious, but they're applying ice and taping an ice bag onto it to see how it reacts.
Penalty against Montreal declined. It's second down 9 for the Concorde at their own 41. 3 minutes left in the opening quarter. 10-0, Montreal leading. Rick Moore, and Turner Gill just got the ball away. Intended for Patterson, covered all the way by Kenny Hinton, number 28.
I'll tell you, Rick Moore has got 2 tremendous shots on Turner Gill over the last couple of minutes. You see that ball being overthrown downfield. Jeff Patterson tried to make a good move on Kenny Hinton. There's Moore coming in. He got around Nill, and watch his shot.
Whew. He switched ends with Gary Doolin. Doolin went to the right side, and that time Moore rushed from the left-end spot. Here's the first punt of the ball game by Mike McTagg. 25-yard line, Stu Fraser on the return. And getting downfield first, Nicaragua. At about the 32-yard line, they threw him back. A 44-yard punt and a return of 5. 2 minutes, 37 seconds left, first quarter, and the Saskatchewan offense has not been able to move the ball here against Montreal's defense. They've managed 1 first down so far. Montreal picking up 6 and leading 10-0.
Right there, just that little screen pass out to the right side to Craig Ellis using his great running ability. That's the only time they've moved the yardstick. Power formation to the right now with 5 receivers on that side.
And I'm not sure where Joe was throwing that. Denny Ferdinand was in the middle. Looked like he was trying to set up that middle screen, and it just misfired. Halpal threw that one into the turf.
Well, Denny's only been here, of course, 5 days. Jocko told me before the ball game he's learned the offense very quickly, but I think he was a little confused on that call.
I'm very surprised that Ferdinand started this ball game because Robert Reed was penciled in on the depth chart as the starter in the backfield alongside Craig Ellis. So it's second down and 10, and Paw will once more go to the shotgun. Penalty marker, Ray Elgard, the league's leading receiver, has his first catch of the game, and it takes 3 or 4 defenders to bring the big guy down. He may be the toughest 225-pounder to tackle, but it'll be wiped out by a holding call. So instead of being first down up at the 48, it's going to be second down and 20 from the 22. And that does not look good.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 55. Second down repeated.
Well, you can hope that that's just badly bruised. That ice on there is an obvious first move by the trainers. Here's Al.
Well, Frank, It doesn't look good. Larry Titley, of course, is through for the night. The doctor said it is at least a sprained knee, and they'll have to give it a check, but it's always sad to see that happen.
Second down and 20. Pow stepping up, finds Craig Ellis, and he is pulled down by Paul Gray from behind at about the 33.5-yard line, and the Roughriders well short of the first down, a pickup of 11, 12 yards. Third down and 8. Paul Gray heads to the bench now as the Riders will have to punt.
Craig Ellis had a huge football game against Montreal last year. In 1984, he had 13 receptions in one football game. As you see, Larry going off the field. Now we have a Concorde down. Is that a Iraqi?
I don't think so. No.
It'll be probably Steve Burkett. A great start in 1985 by both of these football clubs. As we told you at the top of the show, Saskatchewan came within inches of being undefeated in their first 2 games. And, of course, Montreal, including preseason, has won 6 in a row now. And the interest is back in Montreal. The season tickets have doubled. They've got an exciting young football club.
Frank, I agree they have. And another thing that's exciting is the weather's improving as the minutes go by. The wind is abating. It's a very light, gentle breeze now, and the clouds seem to be clearing away. I think that threat of rain is probably gone now. I think conditions are going to be very good, perhaps perfect in the second half.
We just want to remind Montreal fans that the Concorde will be back home on Friday, August the 2nd against El Bruno and Hamilton Tiger Cats. Of course, the Concorde have one more game out west before then. They'll be playing in BC Place a week from tomorrow night. Steve Rocky, the injured ball player.
Both of these ball clubs, of course, in 1984 had records of 6-9-1. So this great start by each of them has been a little bit surprising to fans across the country.
Leschuk has already punted 3 times here in the first quarter. With a minute and a half to go, he'll do it for a 4th time as the Saskatchewan offense unable to get anything going against this tough Montreal Concorde defense. This one will hang up there, but it's another good kick, and he takes Patterson right to the sideline. So after a 22-yarder on his first punt of the ball game, Leschuk has responded with some pretty good kicking. That one just traveled 34 yards. But of course, where he placed it was the important thing, and Montreal unable to return it.
You've got to be happy netting 34 yards against this breeze.
Turner Gill comes back onto the field, and Concorde definitely have time left with the wind at their backs to move in and try to add to their 10-0 lead. Brown goes wide to the left. Patterson is the wide receiver, split off to the right side. Tomaselli, lone back, 1st and 10. Throw back down the middle to Nikaraki, and he makes the catch for a 1st down at the Saskatchewan 54.5-yard line, and Eddie Ray Walker was there to stop him. 13-yard gain.
Dale, the Saskatchewan Roughriders bring only 4 people that time, and this is just classic drop back protection. He does roll slightly to his left side, but watch how well the young Montreal quarterback is protected. Nobody anywhere near him. They can do that. He's going to throw the football successfully.
Patterson makes the catch, and then he's stopped immediately by Kenny Hinton. Good thing, because there's a lot of open field on the far side. If he managed to get around Hinton, it'll be 2nd down and about 3 yards. Fraser, he brings it back to the Saskatchewan 14-yard line. The tackle made by Frank Kosek, the backup Canadian linebacker for Montreal, and the Concorde rolling up 100 yards offense in that first quarter as they built up a 10-0 lead. Saskatchewan with just 27 yards. That was a 37-yard punt by McTagg and a 5-yard return. So now Saskatchewan has the benefit of the wind at their backs.
Chevy Stansdale told the whole story, I think, of that first 15 minutes.
Joe Pow hitting Michael Elarms, his first catch of the ball game. And he's out to about the 27-yard line, pushed back by Andre Francis, number 1. It'll be short of the first down, and where they spot the ball, it'll be second down and about 3. Well, the Rider offense has been struggling here in the early part of this football game.
They certainly have, considering that they have been very, very productive. They've got the most first downs of anybody in the country, the most total yardage, over 1,000 yards in the first 2 games.
Well, the pitch to Craig Ellis, and he cut it back, getting close to first down yardage. Stopped by Paul Gray, and it depends where they spot the ball. We'll need a measurement here. Right at the 29-yard line. They had to get just across the 29. And it would appear they're just a little bit short. We'll get a measurement. Nope, they got it. First down, Saskatchewan. Only their second of the ball game.
And they just did get enough yardage on the play. Good shot by Neil Quilter there to get them over the 10-yard stripe.
Pow to Elarms. The ball knocked away as Harry Skipper was there defensively and made the hit on Elarms. He had to come back for the football. It'll be second down and 10. Harry Skipper, runner-up as Defensive Player of the Year in 1984. Had a team record 10 interceptions back in 1983 and had 8 more last year. Forces the Riders into second and 10. The draw to Denny Ferdinand and nowhere to go. Concord were right there. Sandy Armstrong, number 81, defensively for Montreal. Also Paul Martin. It'll bring on the punting unit.
Good, tough defensive unit by an effort by Montreal. They had given up an awful lot of yardage against the pass in the first 2 football games, but they're giving Saskatchewan very little of anything.
Les Juck's 5th punt of the ball game. At least this time he'll be punting with the wind. It's a good one. Patterson fakes the reverse to Todd Brown. Patterson gets it across the 45 to about the 47-yard line. And tackling him was Robert Reed, a 44-yard punt and a 9-yard return. Of course, that reverse worked very well for the Concord against the Calgary Stampeders last week. And that time they faked it. 12:50 remaining second quarter. 10-0 Montreal lead. All the scoring so far came in the first quarter. Field goal by Kurtz. Touchdown by Turner Gill. Converted by Kurtz. Right now it's first down Montreal at their own 47. Tomaselli on the draw play. He's going absolutely nowhere as the Saskatchewan defense gets tough. Eddie Lowe, Rick Moore, Rick Goltz were all there. Loss on the play of 3 yards, second down and 13. Back to the 44. Gary Doolin, number 70. As mentioned, went down early in the Ottawa game. In the first quarter. Missed the rest of that one. Missed the Toronto game. His first one back. Turner Gill, good protection, looking for McTagg, and he just overthrew him. Now we're into a defensive struggle as the Concord will have to punt the football away.
Isn't that amazing, too? You got the #1 scoring team in the country in the Saskatchewan Roughriders and number 3 in the Concord. So you certainly think you'd have some points on the board.
Mike McTagg with a 44.1-yard career average punting. Coming into this ball game was at 41.6. His longest, a 52-yarder. Punt into the breeze for the first time. Good kick. He's up there for Stu Fraser at his own 23-yard line. Paul Gray at the 29-yard line makes the stop. Concord lead 10-0. We'll be back in just a moment. 36 remaining in the second quarter. Last night, in case you missed it, big surprise, Ottawa 41, Edmonton 19. And Zeno and Ulrich scoring 2 touchdowns each for Ottawa. And one of those for Zeno, a 74-yard punt return.
Well, so far, the Concord, I almost did it. The Concord have really shut down Joe Pow and his group. 11:30 remains in the first half now. It's 10-0.
From the 29-yard line, Saskatchewan 1st and 10. Pow, Ray Elgart. And the crowd hollering for
wasn't very happy with Aaron Hill.
14-yard gain. That is his first catch of the ball game. The one earlier was wiped out by penalty, you'll recall.
Well, he moves really well for a guy his size, doesn't he? 225 pounds, and he's just trying to find that opening. You saw him slow down there. Joe delivered the ball right on the money. They're starting to get something together a little bit now for Saskatchewan.
Big Ray Elgart was a rugby player at a junior college in California before he turned to football at Utah. Defensive line for the Montreal Concordes. And the linebackers, of course, as well as the defensive backs. First down Riders from their 43. Pow looked right through back to the left side. Chris DeFrance with Vince Faison wrapping him up. And he may have first down yardage near the 54-yard line.
I think he stretched far enough to get it, Dale. 2 consecutive first downs now as the Saskatchewan Ball Club is coming out with no huddle. Trying to put it together all at one time. Jocko likes to do that, doesn't he?
Somewhat early for a hurry-up offense.
It confuses your defense, though.
Chris DeFrance again, struggling for first down yardage, and he's got it. Finally stopped by Paul Gray as the linebacker got there to help out the defensive back, Andre Francis. 15-yard gain.
Good example of those big inside receivers that they have. DeFrance not quite as big as Elgart, but he certainly ran like it on that play. We've got an injured Alouette, or Concord again.
Just going to say, we were talking to Jocko earlier, and he said Chris DeFrance is due to have a big game. In fact, he wants him to have a big game. He hasn't been totally pleased with the way DeFrance has been playing so far this year, as Paul Martin is being attended to.
Joe said Paul has had a good year so far for us, but they need a little more pressure coming from that middle of that defensive line, and that's exactly where Paul plays.
Well, gentlemen, it's getting to be a bit of a tough evening for the offensive line. That's 2 of them down.
10-0 Montreal. We'll be back in just a moment. Although there are some threatening clouds in the vicinity, remind you that there'll be game stars. Carling O'Keefe, game stars after tonight's contest, selected by our broadcast crew.
All right, Freddie Fleming's back being the boss of the Star. 10:16 remains in the first half.
Craig Ellis, he slipped a little bit and went down at about the 34, 33-yard line of Montreal, and that was Harry Skipper there to pin him. It was first down from the Montreal 42, and Saskatchewan has now moved to the Concord 34.
And Dale, Paul Martin's back in the ball game in nose tackle. That's good news for the Concord. The South Carolina property was just a little shaken up.
Penalty marker comes down as Craig Ellis fights for first down yardage, and it looked like Ray Elgart possibly could be called for procedure.
That's exactly what it was, and he really looked like he was confused. Watch Elgart, 81. He didn't seem to know his blocking assignment. He eventually tries to block on the linebacker on that side. Ratchet, and Ratchet does a good job against him. No, that's Doug Scott, I guess.
Procedure, Saskatchewan number 81, second down repeated.
So that puts the ball back to the Montreal 39-yard line. 9:40 remaining in the second quarter. It's 10-0 in favor of Montreal. Saskatchewan on the move really for the first time in the ball game. Pow to Craig Ellis again. He turns it back inside. Good play defensively by Ken Shanconi, number 75. He made such a big hit against Joe Barnes last week in that game against Calgary and knocked the ball loose. Montreal recovered, went on to win that ball game, but he has added weight this year. He's up about 10 to 15 pounds, did a lot of weightlifting. Joe Glatt says that's really helped Ken Shanconi.
He's got some awfully big, strong people on his Concord Football Club, don't they?
So that brings up 3rd down, and Dave Ridgway will try a 42-yard field goal with Stu Fraser doing the holding. Kick is up, and it is good. So the Roughriders are on the scoreboard. It is now 10-3 in favor of Montreal, and we'll be back to Taylor Field in Regina right after this. University of York. Right now it's the Montreal offense back on the field at their own 35-yard line following the field goal by David Ridgway, putting the Roughriders on the scoreboard. 10-3, Montreal leading it. 9 minutes remaining, 2nd quarter. Penalty marker down again. We got a lot of those. Mike McTagg completes it out across the 50 to about the 53-yard line. Glenn Suter, Eddie Ray Wander team up. Turner Gill is flat. Eddie Lowe put a hit on Turner Gill. Or was it Gary Doolin? Somebody did. Don't like the looks of that. Here comes Eddie Lowe, number 42, well after the ball was thrown.
And Gill did not see him coming. Boy, he took a shot right in the face area. They moved Gary Doolin, interestingly enough, to the middle spot that time, Dale, which is very unusual. They block him back this way. Actually do a pretty good job against him. But it's Lowe that makes the hit. Turner looking downfield as he delivered that football and took it full in his face mask, it looked like.
Gill still down. It was a 19-yard gain, and the Roughriders were offside on the play, so the penalty declined, and the Montreal Concord will have the ball at their own 54, but they'll have another quarterback coming in, and Jerry DiTilio, I believe, will be the man.
Looks like his jaw area that is of concern.
DiTilio is warming up hurriedly, so you're right, Dale. It'll be Jerry.
Well, Jerry,
that's the doctor going out now to attend to Turner Gill, the team doctor, Dr. Brown.
Well, I've seen Jerry DiTilio come into the ball games at Taylor Field and have some of his best days in this stadium.
Well, nobody has played quarterback so far in the regular season, 1985, except Turner Gill. Jerry stats from last year. Very valuable asset to Joe Galat and his staff, having a veteran like Jerry around to help the youngster break into his pro football career. I'm sure Joe is a lot more concerned than he was showing there with that picture of him on the sideline.
Looked like the helmet might have caught him around the chin area, Frank. Maybe snapped his neck back.
Well, they obviously are being very careful with him with that sort of injury. You're right, Al. It did look like his head was snapped back in that picture. That man's going to have a headache, if nothing else.
Joe Galat was conversing just momentarily there with a couple of officials over there, and I'm sure the Concord were wondering why there wouldn't have been a flag after the hit by Eddie Lowe on Turner Gill, especially when you think back on the flag they threw against Rick Moore. You know?
Yes.
Turner's stats for tonight, even 100 yards. It's a good sign, the fact that he's sitting up.
Yeah, I think he caught Lowe's helmet right on the chin or in the jaw area. You can't be too careful with a hit like that and potential injury. Don't forget, watch Joe Galat and the Concordes All the Way show on CFCF tomorrow at 12:30. That's Channel 12. Joe will tell you all about this ball game tonight. And I'm sure you'll get a medical report on Turner Gill. He looks like he's coming around quite nicely now.
Over 100 yards rushing last week against the Stampeders.
You know, Joe talking about young Turner Gill last night, he said, you know, the guy is so much improved from last year, and it's essentially, you know, very understandable, much more confident than he was in his rookie year. He's a bit of a loner type of a guy, apparently, and the only problem he's had is his offensive line, Dale, as you pointed out, is so big. They average about 6'4", 6'5", 270 pounds. That he does from time to time have problems seeing over the top of them, and Consequently, he likes rolling out, so he gets a little better view down the field. It's great to see him up on his feet now and going off under his own steam.
He's a great athlete. Of course, he played baseball as well when he was at Nebraska. As a matter of fact, he had a couple of American League teams, Chicago White Sox, New York Yankees, interested in him. But football was his game, and right now he's being replaced by Jerry DiTilio as the Concord break out over the ball. 1st and 10 at their own 54-yard line. They're in front 10-3, 8:35 left in the second quarter. DiTilio for Mike McTagg, who's wide open, and coming back to get him was Billy Jackson, and McTagg takes it inside the Saskatchewan 40-yard line. A pickup of 19 yards. First down, Montreal, as McTagg makes the catch.
2 straight 19-yard completions to Mike McTagg to put the Concord down in great field position, 37-yard line now with 8:03 remaining in this first half. Comes the sunshine.
Wilson hit at the line of scrimmage by Cedric Kelly. He gets inside the 35 to about the 34-yard line. A pickup of close to 3 yards by Wilson. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Wilson hasn't been a big factor in this ball game, but he sure likes playing against Saskatchewan. He's got his career best both in catching the football and running it. Last year he picked up 170 yards against Saskatchewan rushing and had 10 catches for 111 in another ball game. As you see the concern over Turner Gill on the sideline.
DiTilio puts it up for Nicaraki, and it's incomplete. Glenn Suter, the safety, was right with him and looked like he had an interception, but I think because of Iraqi wrapping his arms around Suter, it went as an incomplete pass as the ball dropped away and 3rd down.
I'm sure Jerry was just trying to use the height advantage there of Iraqi, who, as we mentioned, is 6'6", but he needed that ball about 5 feet higher if he was going to do that. 7:12 remaining now. The Concord will try to get back to that 10-point lead again.
Second-year man out of Simon Fraser, Glenn Suter. And now it'll be a 41-yard field goal attempt by Roy Kurtz, who hit on a 24-yarder in the first quarter. And this one's good. He is now 6 for 6 in 1985, and it's 13-3 in favor of Montreal with 6:52 left in the second quarter, and that's the longest field goal of the season for Roy Kurtz, 41-yarder.
Al, it would appear that that breeze is becoming less and less of a factor. Is that the case?
Friday night football continues 1 week from tonight, the 26th of July. The rivalry continues. Iverwin Stadium, Hamilton, the Tiger Cats hosting the Toronto Argonauts, and it'll be seen on the full CTV network. Middle screen to Craig Ellis, stopped almost right at the line of scrimmage by linebacker Paul Gray. 2nd down and 10. Again, the Riders now going without a huddle, and we have another injured Concord.
Well, this game has been filled with injuries. You saw Jerry Titley being carried off the field earlier, and of course Turner Gill. Al McCann will be down there busy as he can be with injury reports. I think you're located in the right spot, Al, being over there on the Concord bench.
Well, Frank, Dr. Brown is checking the jaw area and the mouth area of Turner Gill. Now up the upper jaw toward the ear. So I think it's kind of logical that it was that blow to the jaw area. I don't know if it's broken or not, but
Gill at the bench. Ken Cianconi is the injured Montreal player on the field at the moment. Talked about him earlier, and pleased Joe Gallant was with his play. Joe Paupau, incidentally, has completed his last 6 passes in a row, 3 straight to Craig Ellis, but they're really not moving the ball that far. They didn't get a field goal their last possession.
Montreal has done a good job of putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks so far this year. They're second to only the BC Lions in sacking the opposing quarterback, but Joe is delivering the ball quickly enough that they have not gotten to him that well. You'll see Saskatchewan Montreal scores from last year. And interestingly enough, the home team never won.
Right, I was just going to say, no home field advantage between these two in 1984. And right now, the visiting team leading here with 6:13 remaining in the first half. Bad snap in the shotgun. Pow picks it up and finds Ray Elgard for a first down. Can you believe it? I don't know where Willie Thomas was intending to snap that one, but it turned into a 14-yard gain.
Exactly what happened there, Dale. He forgot that it was a short punt formation. He thought the quarterback was up underneath.
Faison and Pointer make the tackle on Elgard. Riders will take that one anyway. 49-yard line, 1st and 10. Pow quickly to Elgard. They're going to use the big guy as much as possible. He's got another first down. Shanconi back in to make the tackle.
What a factor he's been so far in 85. 2 straight 100-yard games for Ray Elgard. 279 yards and had 40 more tonight.
13 on that gain. Riders quickly into Montreal territory from the 48. They go 1st and 10. Pumps once. Pow guns it now to Michael Elarms for another first down at the 33-yard line. Faison was there to pin him. 15-yard gain. The best offensive drive.
Joe's getting a lot of time to throw that football. See him pump and bring it back down and look downfield again. Obviously the key to it.
Goes down again. Short drop into the middle. Wide open is Ken Moore. And he has a first down. Ken Moore is a backup lineman on defense, and Pointer makes the tackle against him. He also backs up offensive tackle.
Well, they normally put Ken Moore in there just to help with the blocking schemes, but a very quick opening in that zone defense seam, and Joe picked it up.
First down again. Pow dumps it off for Moore, and Paul Gray had a hold of him, and it goes incomplete. Moore's looking for an interference call. Now we have Pow and Steve Rocky having words.
Joe, I think you better get back in the huddle.
Well, he had Skullroot there to try and protect him a little bit, number 68.
Rocky's a pretty big fella and kind of a mean linebacker for a quarterback to be fooling around with.
2nd down and 10 Riders. The ball at the Montreal 18.
And the fans here at Taylor Field finally getting a little something to cheer about.
Pow completes it to Craig Ellis. He shook off one tackler and got to the 12-yard line, which is a gain of only 5 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd down now for Saskatchewan. Pointer made the tackle. The field goal unit comes in. It's 3rd and 5. David Ridgway will be trying a 19-yard field goal thereabouts. Stu Fraser doing the holding. The offense gets a hand here from the Saskatchewan fans. About 24,000 in number tonight. CFL scoring leader trying to pick up his 2nd field goal of this ball game. There's the kick. It is good. It's now 13-6 in favor of the Montreal Concordes. We have 3:35 remaining in the 2nd quarter. So Kurtz is 2 for 2. Ridgway's 2 for 2. The difference is Turner Gill's touchdown in the 1st quarter.
Well, Saskatchewan looked a little bit more like the team that's racked up 71 points in the first 2 football games on that drive.
And over 1,000 yards offense in their first 2 games. And they had the ball 3 minutes and 17 seconds. And like last week, though, not able to finish off with touchdowns, having to settle for Ridgway field goals. First down Concord from their own 35. Paw is connected on 12 out of 14 for 121 yards in this quarter. Penalty marker down, and Nikaraki was wide open and tiptoed down the sidelines. They may bring this one back. Let's go to Al.
Well, for an update, Dale, on Turner Gill, I talked to the club doctor. He said Turner did take a hard rap on the jaw. They don't know if it's broken, but they think Turner will get back in this football game. He's feeling better by the moment.
Holding, Montreal number 65. Time. Time is out.
3:11 remaining in the first half. 13-6, Montreal leads it. We'll be right back. As they hold a 7-point lead, it puts the ball back at the 25-yard line. It's first down over again, 20 yards to go. 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Jerry DiTilio in, replacing the injured Turner Gill, trying to set up the screen, and he bounced it to the intended receiver, Rich Tomaselli. It'll be second down and 20.
Well, Saskatchewan defense did a good job of reading that, and the thing they did so very well, they still had a couple of people going in there putting pressure on Jerry DiTilio, not letting him sit back there and pick a receiver, and they covered the screen extremely well to the outside. There's your pressure.
Cedric Kelly, Jocko says, can run as fast as any running back that's been in the Rider camp.
Well, Billy Jackson on the other side and Kelly give them excellent outside linebacking in terms of maneuverability.
DiTilio puts it up. Nobody could get to it. Mike McTagg and Todd Brown were in the area, well overthrown. It'll bring on the punting unit.
Well, the fans here at Taylor Field are starting to get their ball club a little more excited. I think they've got 2 minutes and 46 seconds remaining in this first half. They trail by a converted touchdown, but they should have pretty reasonable field position after this kick.
But they're touchdown starved as far as the Riders are concerned. They haven't scored since the first half in Toronto as far as touchdowns go. Tonight, so far, they've had to settle for 2 Ridgeway field goals. Tags punt. Drew Fraser right at the 50-yard line. Hit and dropped at the 54 as the Concordes were there quickly. 35-yard punt and a return of 4. Aaron Hill making the tackle. So now Saskatchewan goes back to work offensively. Good field position they enjoy.
No huddle again.
2:38. Lots of time left in the first half. Finds Chris DeFrance as he just settled into an opening and made the catch between 2 defenders for a first down. Faison made the tackle.
What a great example, Dale, of just finding that open spot in the zones. You can see them on the inside, on the outside, and he finds that seam right there, picks up a nice reception, and Saskatchewan's first down again.
14-yard gain. Ray Elgard all by himself, and this time the Concord were there to stop him. Pointer moved over quickly to help out Aaron Hill, and there'll be a loss on the play of 2 yards. Second down and 12.
Don't need to get in that big a hurry. 2:23 remains now.
Second down and 12. Pow for Elgard off his fingertips. So it'll be third down and 12. And Ridgeway will come in once more.
Pow took quite a shot from Steve Rocky, I think it was, that time after he delivered the football. That offensive drive was run almost like they had 28 seconds left, not 2 minutes and 14.
No. Ken Moore was again in there as a tight end and an inside receiver. They've taken out the second running back. Craig Ellis is the only running back in the last 2 drives for the Riders. Here's Ridgeway's field goal attempt. It is good! David Ridgeway has kicked his second 52-yard field goal of the 1985 season, and the Riders now trail by 4.
CFL scoring leader coming into this ball game with 27 points. Has added all 9 for the Riders. David Ridgeway.
So the Concord take over first and 10 from their own 35 with 2:09 left in the second quarter. DiTilio looking for Iraqi, made the catch as he just got a stride or 2 on Eddie Walker at the 41-yard line. The gain is 6 yards. Second down and 4 coming up.
Big guy just breaks it off, picks up only 6 yards on the play. Doesn't really make a great move to get to the outside, but turns it up inside of Eddie Ray Walker. And Concord have 2 minutes remaining now to try to do something with it.
2nd and 4. Utilio mishandles the snap, and he managed to get to it with Gary Doolin on top of him. So they lose about 3. It'll bring up 3rd down, and Montreal will have to punt the ball away.
Both of these veteran quarterbacks have had troubles here with a bad snap in the last half of this 2nd quarter.
Frank, haven't we had an abnormal amount of bad exchanges this year?
I think so, Al, and I don't know if that has anything to do with the size of the ball, you know, the discussions we've had before. I do know that the offensive centers say it is a much tougher ball to handle than the previous one because of its diameter.
Short punt this time by McTagg. Gets a good bounce, though, and it goes out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 34-yard line. We still have plenty of time after that 38-yard punt. 1:39 left in the 2nd quarter, and Saskatchewan has the ball back. A member of the Dream Team, what they call the Saskatchewan Roughrider cheerleaders now. First down, Riders from their own 34. Pow to Michael Elands. He's got blockers in front, but he got tripped up on a good defensive play by Aaron Hill, number 8, and that held the gain to about 4 yards.
Well, he did a great job of avoiding the block by Vic Stevenson coming out there, number 62. .134 remain.
2nd down and 6. Pow to Ken Moore, his 2nd catch of the ball game, right at the 45-yard line, stopped by Paul Gray. It looks like it's more than enough for first down. It is. 1:27 left.
Now, how many positions has he played? Backs up, defensive end, offensive tackle, tight end, slot back, fullback.
Kind of guy you like to have around on the 34-man roster. Came over in the trade with Calgary. Oh, Pow's picked off by Vince Faison. The pass intended by Krista France, and he threw it behind him. And Montreal gets the ball at the Saskatchewan 39. 15-yard return by Faison.
Good blocking up front by Saskatchewan. Joe did not have that much pressure on him. He just underthrew the football as DeFrance was to the outside of the veteran defensive back, Vince Faison. Vince brings it all the way back to 39-yard line, so all of a sudden the Concord have an opportunity to put some points on the board with 1:18 remaining. Another Concord down on the sideline this time.
That was the first turnover of the ball game, even though the defenses have been tough. Here's Jerry D'Attilio trying to get away from the rush, and he almost did, but not quite. Cedric Kelly finally put the stop on him back at the 53-yard line, a loss of 14.
Dale, you mentioned just a moment ago about the great speed of Cedric Kelly. Watch him come from the outside. He just beats the offensive line with that great speed. He misses Jerry D'Attilio the first time and gets right back up and makes the tackle. See him miss him right there, and right away he's back on his feet. Jerry doesn't know where to go. There's a bunch of folks in there.
Yeah, Brad McDermott and Rick Moore were also coming hard, and Kelly made the tackle. Loss of 14, 2nd down, 27. Less than a minute remaining first half. D'Attilio going deep for Todd Brown, or Mike McTagg down the middle, knocked away by Glenn Suter. Initially, I thought the pass was going to Brown, but it was McTagg more down the middle of the field. So a big defensive play with that rush on first down, and this play by Suter on 2nd down. And I think they pushed them out of field goal range.
They certainly have against that breeze. And good timing by Suter going up to knock that football down.
And McTagg will punt. So the defense certainly did its job that time against Montreal. The Riders will get the ball back. Still 46 seconds left.
You know, you would have thought you'd see a lot more scoring here tonight because Saskatchewan's given up 51 points in 2 football games, the second worst in the Canadian Football League, but the defenses are playing well.
Good rush. Tag gets a good punt away. Fraser inside the 5-yard line, and he is stopped at about the 13.
Well, that's pretty
49-yard punt.
Saskatchewan gets away with no points against them after they have an interception by Vince Faison. First down at their own 39-yard line by Montreal. Came away with no points.
Fraser with a 9-yard return stop by John Pointer. The Riders have a long way to go to score. First down from their own 13 with 37 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Paul had that ball hit by a defender, and it was picked up before it hit the turf by Laurie Skullroot. Now a penalty marker comes down because, of course, Skullroot being an offensive tackle, ineligible receiver.
What a great job by Rocky there, the outside linebacker, number 99. 2 blockers trying to get a shot on him. He not only gets away from them, but knocks the football up in the air and makes the tackle. I guess you couldn't ask much more than that from him.
Well, there's a penalty flag on the play, and let's see what Bud Ulrich has to say about it. Jack Goda looking on. They sent a play in from the bench with Stu Fraser. He came in place of Mike Collymore.
Ineligible receiver, Saskatchewan number 68. Declined. Second down.
Well, I thought once that ball was knocked up in the air, everybody's an eligible receiver.
Well, that's what I was thinking when I said Skullroot caught the ball, but
that's all right.
Obviously not.
Once it's up in the air. Joe with a very high completion rate, as you can see so far this evening, but unable to get the ball in the Concord end zone. 29 seconds remain now. In the first half, we have a 13-9 football game.
Second down Riders, 10 yards to go from their own 13. Now we have the head referee, Bud Ulrich, stopping things momentarily. Timeout has now been called by the Montreal Concord. Phil Jones, the safety, goes over to the Montreal sideline. And, of course, coming up at halftime, the CFL this week, and Dan Matheson will have a profile on James Quick Parker, the BC Lions, who, of course, was lineman of the week for his performance last weekend against the Edmonton Eskimos. And Frank and I will be around with a look at these first half highlights. All coming up at halftime tonight, and we're just 14 seconds away from intermission. Right at the moment, the Concord have called a timeout.
Jocko, I'm sure, quite happy to just waste these last few seconds of the first half.
He won't be pleased with the fact that they've had to settle for field goals here again tonight. They only managed 1 touchdown against the Argonauts last week and none so far. And have almost reached halftime here at Taylor Field. Powell keeps it himself. And gets across the 15-yard line. And they'll be able to run out the clock, even though they have third down coming up. The Concord have used up their timeout, although they are going to punt it away.
Well, we'll attempt to update you on the medical situation with starting quarterback Turner Gill as soon as we can. He has not returned to this football game, obviously, at this point. Time
has now run out, and Les Chuck will punt the ball away. And this will be Patterson on the return, number 80, and he's heading for the sidelines and won't get there. I'm surprised they just didn't ground the football rather than risk a return. And the score as the first half comes to a close here at Taylor Field, Montreal 13 and Saskatchewan 9.
Well, with me on the sideline, veteran offensive guard Lloyd Fairbanks that at Brigham Young, played at Calgary, now with Montreal. I know you have to be enjoying 1985, Lloyd. Everything's come up roses for you guys.
Well, so far, right now we're in a dogfight here, but prior to this, everything's come up good for us, and everybody's been working well together, and we're really happy with it.
I'll tell you, that's the biggest offensive line I've seen for a long time that you're involved in right now. You guys got to be the biggest in the league. Is it the biggest group you've ever played with?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel like a dwarf out there, on 250, so we got a lot of big tackles and guys who can move and guys who can play, so it's really nice to be with them.
I was sorry to see Larry Titley injure that knee again. He was plagued with a knee problem last year, and bang, here it's back.
Yeah, I guess his knee was a little bit loose. I don't know. They took him in to check it out, and they'll know after the game, I guess, what his status is.
This team of yours seems to have gelled now. Turner's come along so well to run that offensive team. Does it change much your job when Jerry comes in?
Not really, because Jerry's a really a good pro, and he's been around. He knows how to operate the offense. I played with Jerry before, so from my standpoint, it's really easy to transition from a guy like him coming in when Turner's down.
How about that Saskatchewan defensive front? You're going up there nose to nose with them. How tough are they?
They're coming hard tonight. They're throwing a lot of stuff at us, and they're teeing off because they know this is a big ball game for them and a big ball game for us. So they're coming after us.
Are they doing anything to surprise you?
Nothing really to surprise us. Just good hard-nosed football.
I'll tell you, the way you guys have started, if you can stay away from that rash of injuries like you hit there in the first half, it could be a real banner year for Montreal and get all those fans back.
Oh, we hope so. We got to get through this one first.
Okay, Lloyd. Okay. Best of luck in the second half.
Thanks very much.
Okay. We must also remember that they're having babies like crazy in that town and having lots of fun, those Montreal Concordes. I think they've got a good football team, but they're in it for a tough second half. Well, the score is 13-9 here at Taylor Field. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
If you're looking for an excuse for what happened to the Edmonton Eskimos last night in Ottawa, you might try fatigue. It was their third game in less than 2 weeks. It was their second in 6 days.
Or you might say they just could not handle a rejuvenated Ottawa offense. Roughrider quarterback J.C. Watts finds the end zone 4 times, getting it started just 3 minutes and 38 seconds into the ball game with an 8-yard toss to rookie wide receiver Derek Zeno. After a second quarter touchdown by Wayman Aldridge, it is 14-0 before Brian Kelly scores twice to bring the Eskimos back. Matt Dunnigan feathers the ball downfield. Pass is perfect. Kelly is open. This ball game is tied at the half, 14-14. And now the play of the game. Edmonton punting, 17-15 Ottawa, third quarter. The ball fielded by the rookie Zeno. He says good punt returns are simply the result of good blocking. Well, he gets that here, and he's got speed. Off on a 74-yard drop. He will not be caught. Ottawa goes ahead, 24-15. The Riders salted away with 2 more touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Here's another rookie making his presence felt, Mike Caterbone. 30 yards down the sidelines, Ottawa wins its home opener. Coming up in the Canadian Football League tomorrow, the Argonauts are in Winnipeg to meet the Blue Bombers. On Sunday, the BC Lions travel to Calgary to take on the Stampeders. Next week in the CFL, the Bombers in Edmonton, no rest for the Eskimos, and CTV's Friday Nighter has Toronto at Hamilton. Also on CTV, on Saturday, Montreal at BC, and next Sunday, the Stampeders are in Ottawa. Coming up, the PWA Stars of the Week. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
First to notice that Miller Lite is brewed right here in Canada. I really do like light. It tastes great and it tastes less filling. As I'm always telling the guys on the diamond, if you want to get anything by me, you've got to get up pretty early.
Light beer from Miller, now brewed in Canada. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Performance against the Eskimos. Condredge Holloway wins Offensive Star and the game against Saskatchewan with a gritty individual effort. Welcome to Pacific Western Airlines Stars of the Week in the CFL. Tonight, the Lineman Star of the Week is the subject of our CTV profile. BC Lions' James "Quick" Parker was at his harassing, unpredictable best against his former teammates, the Edmonton Eskimos. James roamed the backfield at will, upsetting the blocking, creating confusion, and sacking quarterback Matthew Dunnigan twice. Parker's relentless drive was a key factor in the Lions' 25-10 win. He came to Vancouver in 1984 and established CFL star with 3 Grey Cups and a Shenley Award as Most Outstanding Defensive Player. He proceeded to win a second Shenley Award last year. Parker's flamboyance on the field is matched by his wardrobe. Part of psyching up for a game is his almost ritualistic shopping expedition. In his words, since I've bought it, I'd better go out there and earn it. In the off-season, James works in the garment industry, learning the trade and setting up contacts for a career after football. An off-season resident of Philadelphia, this self-proclaimed movie fanatic doesn't spend all his spare time alone. Parker has developed a wide circle of friends in Vancouver.
I know more women than I know guys. That's purely because I don't go out to meet guys because I know a whole football team full of guys. Plus, they smell better, so I go. And we get out and have a nice time and we meet people. Vancouver is a very lovely city. I think one of the best things that happened to me was when I came out to Vancouver. I definitely would like to win a Grey Cup for the BC Lions of British Columbia.
James Parker plays hard. He also works hard. His commitment is a year-round priority, and he does it all with style.
It's nice to see a man come to practice in a 3-piece suit with a nice tie and nylon socks. Adds a new flair to the Lions.
But there's more than just flair to James "Quick" Parker.
I think the thing that sets James Parker apart is the fact that he gets so much actual enjoyment out of playing the game and doing a job well. His heart is larger than his chest cavity, and that makes him explode into the backfield and try to sack the quarterback.
I am an adult playing a kid's game, and I enjoy myself when I'm out there.
This Stars of the Week profile is brought to you by Pacific Western Airlines, serving over 45 Canadian destinations. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
Is dedicated towards ongoing training and fitness. Hi, I'm John Bonk of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Like professional athletes, the athletes involved in Special Olympics train throughout the year so that they can properly condition themselves prior to competition. Show us your support and contact the local Special Olympics chapter in your community.
This message brought to you by the Canadian Football League.
Hello, I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Join me later tonight for the latest news at home and around the world. The CTV National News Tonight.
The second half underway, and this is Denny Ferdinand on the return, and the former Montreal Concorde brings it out across the 35, lost control of the football, but a Rough Rider was there to fall on it. I believe it's Billy Jackson, number 45, so Saskatchewan will maintain possession. 31-yard return as we take another look at the statistics from the first half.
Well, that's really something, because if you'll recall, at the end of the first quarter, it was a total offense of 100 yards for Montreal against 27 for Saskatchewan. So they certainly moved the football, and once again, we've got an injured Concorde down there. Miles Durrell stripping the football of Denny Ferdinand on that kick return, and Montreal has certainly had their share of injuries today. They have been relatively injury-free throughout 1985 so far.
Mark Hopkins is the injured Montreal player, part of the coverage team. So we'll have a bit of a delay here. And Joe Golat has to be very concerned with the number of players of his team that have gone down here in this ball game. Frank just alluded to that fact. Turner Gill is loosening up at the sidelines. You see, he took that shot from Eddie Lowe.
Oh, look at a nice smile. That's encouraging. Now, if he can remember what day of the week it is, I think the coach can put him back in the football game.
Hopkins
took quite a shot.
Getting on his feet now.
I was talking to the doctor, guys, during the halftime, and he says Turner's going to be all right. He's now more and more convinced that it's not broken, that it's just a bad shot to the jaw. Larry Titley is the injury that is the one they're worried about. His knee was pretty badly whacked, I'm afraid.
First down, Saskatchewan. The ball at their own 37-yard line. Montreal leads at 13-9. We're just underway in the third quarter. And Pau wants a big one in a hurry. Michael Elarm's out of bounds. Could not get to it anyway. Elarm's had a step on Harry Skipper as Pau, for the first time tonight, has aired it out.
Well, this ball is obviously thrown out of bounds, but Elarms uses that great speed. He certainly was open for a moment there. Joe could have thrown the ball about 3 or 4 yards to the left. Look at Joe's stats for the evening. 20 out of 27 in the first half.
Excellent at the short passing game. Pau on second down. Get away from trouble, Joe, and throw an interception. He does to Ken Shanconey. Big return here. Shanconey with his second interception of the season and the second for Montreal tonight. A 25-yard return. And he takes it back to the Saskatchewan 25-yard line.
And Joe, once again, just threw the ball behind the receiver. There was pretty good pressure by Rocky, number 99. He had to step around him, but Elarms came to the inside, and Joe threw it to the outside, the wrong jersey.
Montreal came into the ball game with only 1 interception in their first 2 games of the season. Turner Gill back at quarterback now. Wayne Wilson is met as he was coming back inside. Cedric Kelly, I believe, was the man who met him almost head on at the 23-yard line. Pickup of a couple. Second down and a little less than 8 yards to go as you get a look at Cedric Kelly playing in his first regular season game for Saskatchewan, replacing the injured James Capers. Gill lays it up into the end zone for Nikaraki, and a penalty flag is thrown. Eddie Walker jumped up in front of him.
And I'll bet you, Dale, that Freddie Fleming, our ISO director, will have that one picked out for you. He always does. There you go. Bring it back. Way to go, Fred. Big Nick just using that long loping stride to get behind really the only newcomer in that defensive backfield for Saskatchewan. Eddie Ray Walker, number 2. Interference is called against him. So the Concord will have first down on the 1-yard line. We're only a minute and a half into the second half. Montreal threatening.
Tomaselli into the end zone. He goes. Penalty markers right at the goal line. Offside, Saskatchewan. The touchdown stands, and the Concord increased their lead to 19-9. Rich Tomaselli.
Pretty good block by Jeff Patterson, the wideout on that play. It's a little different.
One of only 2 new players starting for Montreal offensively this year. The other, of course, Mike McTagg. They're neither of them rookies, though. McTagg with a lot of CFL experience, and Tomaselli was with Houston when Joe Galat was an assistant coach there. Roy Kurtz now to convert the touchdown out of the hold by Jerry Titilio, and the Montreal Concord have taken a 20-9 lead over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And we'll be back to Taylor Field in just a moment.
To the outside, the block by Jeff Patterson, and Montreal gets a big break, and they score. I wonder how Al McCann is doing over on the far side of the field.
I'm doing fine, Frank.
We got you. We got you, Al.
I was sitting enjoying your dulcet tones.
Sure. Tough job you got down there.
The Riders pull a reverse. Stu Fraser taking the handoff from Denny Ferdinand. Ran all the way across the field and stopped short of the 25-yard line by Andre Francis.
We caught you, partner.
Next thing, he's going to be up in the stands playing with the beach ball.
No, I'm sitting watching the pictures, gentlemen. How about that? Another injury.
I don't think I've seen a game for an awful long time where one team had so many people go down. That's Frank Kosick, the former Calgary Stampeder linebacker for the Concord. And once again, this time in knee. Joe is probably wondering what's going on out there.
I believe Kosick was shaken up earlier in the ball game and had to be attended to. As you can see, checking that right knee. Gets caught in the traffic here. No, I didn't see how the injury occurred.
I guess he just twisted a little bit there as he went down. Well, Saskatchewan needs to get something going. They trail in this ball game by 11 points.
First down, Riders. The ball at their own 23-yard line. Pow into the middle to Craig Ellis, caught from behind by Ken Cianconi. He's got a gain of 9 out to the 32. And Paul Martin is shaken up for Montreal.
Well, I don't know why the fans would be booing a fella when he gets hurt. Martin, of course, was another Concord that was down earlier in this ball game.
You saw that graphic there a moment about Jocko coaching against the half a dozen players he once coached in Calgary. Of course, he's coaching 3 on his own squad that are starting tonight that were with him in Calgary at one time.
It's interesting when you go through these lineups, they do have a lot of ex-Calgary people on this Montreal ball club. I'll tell you one that Joe Galat's very happy with, and that's Mike McTagg.
1 yard on second down is all the Riders need, and Craig Ellis takes the ball out across the 35 for a first down. John Pointer making the tackle at the 37-yard line. So Paul Martin comes back in. George Bolt had been in there to replace him on that last play. First and 10, Saskatchewan. The team that rolled up over 1,000 yards in the first 2 ball games, they struggled tonight offensively. Craig Ellis now finds a good opening, some nice running out to the 45 for a gain of 8 yards. There's a penalty marker down.
I think Rocky was offside. Steve Rocky, 99.
It'll be second down and 1 if they don't take the penalty.
Watch Rocky now right at the bottom of your screen there, number 99. He's a little bit tentative. He's actually moving backward when the ball snapped. Watch what happens to him.
Offside.
He kind of gets
Montreal,
blocked.
99. Declined. Second down.
You got to know where you're going.
Second down and 1. Penalty decline. Ball at the Saskatchewan 46. Ellis, the second man through. He has a first down. Up near the 49.
First down.
Paul Gray, 42, the linebacker, was really destroyed. Looked like Roger Aldag, number 44, blew him back out of there. Knocked him back about 3 or 4 yards off the ball.
Halp on first down, finds Ray Elgard, and he knocks 3 Concordes down. And then he fumbled the ball, and Montreal has got it.
Oh, what a great effort by Elgard. Everything was great, except he did not hang on to the football.
Harry Skipper got the ball.
Watch the folks bouncing off of it. Oh. Well, that's a couple of linebackers in there, too, not just defensive backs. It looked like Skipper is the one that stripped him of the football right at the end. Watch for number 26 after Elgard had knocked 3 or 4 people down. That was Paul Gray, 42.
Back to the live action. First down, Montreal. Turner Gill on the move, unloads and looking for Vikaraki and completes it to Jack Goddard. Used to be a receiver in Calgary, Saskatchewan, and for a while in Montreal.
Bring that one back.
Jocko, boy, he can still catch.
Jocko's having fun, isn't he? As always. Take another shot and see Jack Goddard catch his first pass of 1985. All right, Jocko. And he put the ball away immediately.
He always had great hands.
Second down and 10 from the 39-yard line. Intended for Tomaselli, incomplete. Another penalty flag down, holding the call against Montreal, but they'll decline that and force them to punt. Eddie Lowe providing the coverage on Tomaselli. And Mike McTagg will kick. Just over 10 minutes remaining, third quarter.
Define, third down.
You know who that is on the sideline there, that looking right there in the white sweater? Just look at that face. You got to know it's Joe Galat's son, Joe. And he's happy.
Nice young man. Heaton has the same manner as his dad, doesn't he?
Does he ever? Here's McTagg's punt to Fran McDermott at his own 30-yard line. McDermott got to the 35 and then pushed way back. 5-yard return. The Montreal Concord lead the Saskatchewan Roughriders 20-9. We'll be back in just a moment. Cole, the question tonight is, should the CFL change to 4-down football? You think they should? There's the number to call. If your answer is no, there's another number to call, and also there's a number to call in British Columbia. And again, 50-cent service charge. The question tonight, should the CFL change to 4-down?
Freddie Fleming is just in my ear, and he voted no. So I don't know if that helps you, fans.
I think it would get a unanimous no in this crew, wouldn't it?
I think so.
Penalty marker down as Joe Powell center screen to Craig Ellis.
There should be a motion call against the Riders.
Boy, it's been a lot of flags tonight.
A lot of flags and a lot of injuries.
Procedure against the Roughriders. Possibly Elarms on the outside, number 80. The gain was about 6 yards. They'll wipe it out.
Dale, Roy Kurtz, the Montreal kicker, notice that little black box in his hand? When he comes off the field, he hooks up his leg to and gets a little electronic surge through his leg to help his leg from tightening up, from the muscles from tightening up. Talk about sports medicine 1985.
I've never seen that one.
Must work. He's, what, 6 for 6 in field goals this year?
It's working anyways, right. Yeah.
First down over again. 15 yards to go. Shotgun formation from the 30-yard line. Pow to Chris DeFrance. 43-yard line. Be 2 yards short of the first down. Making the tackle, John Pointer. And both of those inside receivers for Saskatchewan, you want to tackle them, you better have help.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Ray Elgard and Chris DeFrance. Big targets for Joe Powell to throw to.
And Elgard has 5 catches, I believe, over the evening, and that's the 5th for DeFrance. So major contributors in Joe Powell's passing scheme.
Second down and 2, and they still go with the shotgun. The middle to Elgard, hit immediately. Incomplete pass. Good defense by Ken Shanconi. It'll be third down, and the punting unit comes on.
Watson Coney, 75. He can really stick. Dale was talking earlier about how much stronger he is this year after some great weight training in the offseason.
That's the best hit I've seen anybody put on a Ray Elgard. Terry Leschuk to punt the ball away. Good kick. Nice height. Waiting for Patterson, 25-yard line. Starts back. He's at the 20. Now he's got some room, and he is quick. Brings it out to the 40-yard line. A return of 15 yards off a 42-yard punt. And we have 8:14 remaining in the third quarter. We just want to remind you tomorrow, of course, CTV's Wide World of Sports, the Texaco Internationals, Bruce Meadows, and the Sperry Toronto Sun high jump competition, the Canadian team synchronized swimming, and Canadian 5-pin bowling championships. All of that tomorrow on CTV's Wide World of Sports. First down, Montreal, 40-yard line. McGill wide open is Mike McTagg, and what a game he's having to the 41-yard line, brought down by Fran McDermott. 29-yard pickup.
Boy, McTagg has had a field day in getting open underneath the coverage and to the inside. You saw Doolin putting pressure on Turner Gill, but he delivered it almost sidearm there. And the ex-Stampeder has moved the ball to the 41.5-yard line of Saskatchewan. They can put it in the end zone now. They'll really have Saskatchewan in some trouble.
Drop play to Dwayne Wilson. James Reed got to him. I think that's the first time tonight I've mentioned James Reed's name.
And is that unusual? The leading tackler coming into this ball game on the entire Saskatchewan defensive team.
Larry Titley injured in the first half, out of the ball game.
I'm all right. All
Good.
right.
Glad to hear it, Larry.
What are you doing with the crutches then?
Second down and 7. The ball at the Saskatchewan 38. Good protection for Turner Gill, and he finds McTagg again in the middle. Fran McDermott making the tackle. Another first down for Montreal.
Watch McDermott going backwards. That's a good view of what a defensive back has to contend with. He's got to run backwards, obviously, when those receivers are coming downfield. McTagg cut it off and came back to make his 6th reception of the night, I believe. Bob Lee's telling me it's only 5. All right, Robert, I'll believe you.
Wayne Wilson tried to get outside and then was caught by Fran McDermott at the 25-yard line. The pickup will be close to 3 yards on the play.
Tackled by Fran McDermott.
I just had a chance to be able to chat with Larry Titley, who's back from the doctor. He's hoping that it's just a strain. Hopefully it's not swollen very badly. It's the same injury, same knee that gave him so much trouble last year, and he blames the artificial turf, as they all so often do.
Second down and 7. Big rush on Turner Gill, and they bring him down. Billy Jackson back at the 41-yard line. That is a big defensive play by Billy Jackson, a loss of 16 yards.
Well, Saskatchewan came into this ball game with 8 sacks, second only to BC Lions, and they had another one there, probably the most important of the year. They get him back out of field position. There's a holding call against the Concorde, but obviously that will be refused. They may try a field goal. They would have to come from about 49 yards, so that's certainly possible. Yes, Kurtz is in the ball game.
This will be a 49-yard attempt, which would be his longest of the season.
Let's see if that electronic leg works from that far out.
Jerry DiTilio doing the holding. Kurtz is yet to miss this year. He's got the distance. It is wide to the right. And the Riders give up a single point. It's now a 21-9 ball game in favor of the Montreal Concordes over the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and we'll be back in just a moment. Third quarter, Saskatchewan Roughriders are 1st and 10 at their own 41-yard line. That looks like a Wozniacki. That is a brother to Lyle Wozniacki of the.
That's got to be a Wozniacki.
Yeah. Alpau going deep for Elam's wide open, and he missed him.
Joe has not thrown the ball that well, Dale, when he's delivering it for more than about 20, 25 yards. He has been very accurate on the short stuff. But Craig Ellis coming out of that backfield has had 8 catches, but it has not been effective, as we've said, to getting the ball in the end zone.
3 field goals tonight by Dave Ridgway, all the scoring for Saskatchewan. Second down and 10. Shotgun formation once more. Out short to Ray Elgard. He's got enough for a first down, and he's driven back, and we'll see where he gets the spot now.
I think it'll be all right. It's going to be very close, but he does have the first down, I believe.
Ray in on the tackle. We're going to get a measurement here. The attendance tonight, 24,806.
Well, that's not bad, Dale, considering the fact that there's a huge country and western concert going on about 20 miles outside of town. We understand it's drawing close to 50,000 people with Waylon and Jennings and Tammy Wynette and a whole bunch of good folks.
They're the performers tonight, and we have a whole bunch more over the weekend. It goes right through till Sunday evening. Big Valley Jamboree. But 24,000 here tonight. And Elgard does pick up a first down. Craig Ellis, and the defense is there. John Pointer, number 47. Paul Gray is there as well, along with Doug Scott. Be a loss on the play. About a yard. Close to 2. Second down and 12 coming up.
John Pointer, who used to be here in Saskatchewan.
One-time Blue Bomber out of Vanderbilt, the leading tackler for the Montreal Concordes. Second down, 12 yards to go. Elgard should have another first down.
Boy, she got great hands.
Tackle made by Aaron Hill.
Just the soft hands of a great receiver. Joe put something on this football as he's throwing it over the middle into a crowd again. Elgard makes a fine catch.
We're getting crowd reaction again because there's a Montreal Concorde injured once more, and I don't know why the crowd is getting on them.
It's a very strange reaction to an injured football player.
I think, gentlemen, the fans' reaction is triggered by the fact they think that Montreal are faking some of these injuries, which, of course, is not the case.
Well, I agree with you, Al. I don't think there's any attempt here to slow down the hurry-up offense with Saskatchewan or anything like that. Most of the people that have been down on the field for Montreal have been down quite a while and look to be in some pain, some considerable pain. It's very nice to see Turner Gill back in this football game. I was really concerned about that injury, and take a shot like that up in the neck area. Once again, should the Canadian Football League go to 4 down? There's how you register your vote.
Ken Shantoni shaken up for the second time. Now leaving the playing field. 26 completions tonight for Pau Pau, 233 yards. That puts him almost at 1,000 yards passing for the season, I believe. Might get a quick calculation here.
Oh yeah, he had 864 coming in, Dale, so he's closer to 1,100 now.
1,097. Craig Ellis took the tackle and then was hit and dropped by Frank Kosek, who came in to replace Ken Shantoni on that first down play. And now we have Shantoni coming back in, along with Paul Martin, who is out, and George Volk was in the ball game. Ellis getting the ball to the Montreal 44, a pickup of 3 yards. It'll be second down and 7.
That's pretty good run defense, isn't it? 6 carries, 22 yards.
Trouble, and he just didn't have a chance to get that one off as Paul Martin burst through there to sack him.
Boy, just a great move by Martin right when the ball is snapped. Watch the big guy who lines up over the offensive left guard, Roger Alday, just makes a quick move to his outside and gets rid of the blocker immediately. Boom. That's the one where the offensive lineman hollers back to the quarterback, look out. I remember a few of those.
Kenny Plain probably does too.
Yeah, he remembers it better than I do.
Good kick by Leschuk. The 4-yard line. Patterson on the return, and he's stopped by Billy Jackson.
This ball club's fired up all of a sudden. Jackson looks like he hurt himself just a bit making that stop.
It was a 48-yard punt, and Jackson was downfield quickly to hold the return to 3 yards. And next week we'll be in Vancouver, BC Place, for the Lions hosting the Montreal Concordes. I look forward to that one. I think that's going to be a tough ball game.
Well, Dale, if you take another look at that return, I won't be joining you in Vancouver next week because Alan McCann and I are moving on to Montreal and broadcasting the Demorier Golf Tournament from Beaconsfield in Montreal. So I'm sure Lee Pedersen, Bill Stevenson will enjoy working with you next week. We'll be on the air Saturday and Sunday next week with that golf tournament. You'll see all the major money winners of the LPGA. Should be an exciting tournament. They had a great one there at Beaconsfield 2 years ago. Julie Inkster, the defending champion in that tournament.
First down Concord from the 9-yard line. Jackson out of the ball game, replaced by Jerry Friesen. Gill from the end zone gets it to Tomaselli. 10-15. He's got a first down to the 20-yard line. Good play by the Concord. Making the tackle, Fran McDermott. Eddie Lowe is also over there.
Saskatchewan will have whatever wind advantage there is in the fourth quarter of this ball game because we're down to 1:12 remaining now in the third period. It's a 21-9 ball game.
First down from the 20-yard line. There's Gill. Doolan chasing him. Great speed by Turner Gill. He's got another first down out to the 33-yard line.
Once again, a great move by a defensive lineman. This time it was Doolan, but Turner Gill just ran away from him. Mike Washburn now in the ball game at those receiver spots, number 22, flanked out to the right side.
Here's Dwayne Wilson. He's out across the 35 to about the 38-yard line. And he has a pickup of 5, maybe 6 yards on the play. Billy Jackson was over there. He's back in the ball game to make the tackle.
Watching number 45 to the outside there at the top of your screen. It's Tomaselli, the blocker, and he gets rid of him fairly quickly, but a nice little gain of 6 or 7 yards as this was probably going to be the last play of the third quarter.
Turner Gill, the leading rusher in this game, 4 carries for 32 yards. Right now, back to pass on second down. Gets it to Wilson, and he is stopped at the 40-yard line, short of the first down, as the third quarter comes to an end here at Taylor Field. After 3, it's Montreal 21, Saskatchewan 9. We'll be back with the fourth quarter in a moment.
Harry Carey back at Candlestick Park. We're going to the bottom of the first inning. Dan Gladden will be leading it off. Believes that the Yankees are going to win the American League East.
I do too. And a fumble. And Montreal with a 21-9 lead in the first play of the fourth quarter. A punt by Mike McTagg to Stu Fraser. And he brings it back to near the 30-yard line. After a 51-yard punt, a return of 11. So Saskatchewan Roughriders go on offense. They've actually had the edge in time of possession in the ball game after 3 quarters. 23 minutes, 16 seconds to Montreal's 21 minutes, 44 seconds. But, of course, it's Montreal with the lead where it counts, and that's on the scoreboard. We have another Concorde shaken up on the play on the far side of the field. John Pointer's down.
Well, Dale, I kind of figure that the fourth quarter is going to be rather exciting. Saskatchewan just starting to get on a roll now, and Elgart, the leading receiver in the entire Canadian Football League, has picked up 8 receptions already again here this evening. He now has 27 on the year in just 2 3/4 games.
Amazing.
Did you have any idea, Dale, living here locally, that he was going to be that much of a factor offensively? He didn't, it didn't appear to me in preseason that he was that big a threat.
Actually, Jocko maintained all the way through preseason that they just wanted to get the ball more to their wide receivers, and I'm not so sure that it's just the way things have worked out, that the guys on the inside, especially Elgard, have been the open receivers time and time again.
The outside receivers have not been factors at all in this ball game.
For either team.
No. Mike Collymore, I don't believe, has caught a pass yet, has he?
Nope. Craig Ellis catching that one and picks up about 3-4 yards. Got close to the 35-yard line, so it's a gain of almost 5. His 9th catch of the evening. It'll be 2nd down and 5 for Saskatchewan. They have not scored a touchdown tonight. Pow in the middle to Craig Ellis. He runs right into Ken Shanconi, and he's got a 1st down. 10 catches for Craig Ellis now in the ballgame. 1st down from the 43.
43-yard line.
Pau putting it up deep for Michael Elarms. He's got him inside the 25-yard line. A big play for Saskatchewan's offense, their biggest play of the night.
Interesting, too, Dale, because the Montreal Concordes were in a zone defense, dropping back, looking for the deep throw. Harry Skipper just didn't get back far enough. Alarms with that great speed of 47-yard gain. But you'll see the defensive backs all getting back there. It was not a bad pattern for them, but Alarms just used that speed. Watch it.
Well thrown ball.
Oh, he just blew right by everybody, and a perfect throw, as you said, by Joe Pow. And all of a sudden, Saskatchewan threatening the 21-yard line. I told you they were going to get going.
Pow pumped once, now goes to the end zone for Collymore, and Harry Skipper got there to break it up.
Was Harry Skipper ever fortunate on that play, because he did not know where the football was. It was underthrown, as you saw. Well, maybe I was wrong. He looked like he was looking back there. He did know where it was coming from. Skipper number 26, the ball badly underthrown by Pow.
It looked like to me that when Joe spotted Collymore, he was so wide open that he just didn't put enough on the ball.
That's right. He threw it too quickly.
So it's 2nd down and 10 from the Montreal 21. Pow to the 5. Ray Elgard has got it. 1st and goal, Saskatchewan. A gain of 16 yards.
Well, he delivered that football, didn't he?
Tackle made by Harry Skipper.
I said it the last Elgard reception, but watch once again how great soft hands he's got. Just curls to the inside behind those linebackers, and that ball's coming. That ball was really thrown hard, and no question about dropping it. 1st down at the 6.
Riders need a touchdown. They haven't scored one in a long time. Craig Ellis stopped after a gain of a yard, maybe 2 on the play, pushed back by Doug Scott, number 70, who got out there from his tackle position.
Stu Fraser now coming into the ball game with instructions from the bench. Be interesting to see what Saskatchewan does should they not get this ball in the end zone on 2nd down. They trail by 12 points here.
Go out of the shotgun on 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line.
Here they come.
Quickly throws to Chris DeFrance, and it really wasn't on target, and Aaron Hill was there to break it up. And the field goal unit comes in. The fans don't like that.
Joe doesn't like it either. He wants another shot. This is a badly thrown football. France no chance to make the reception. Aaron Hill, the defender on the play. But you know what Jocko's thinking? He says, if I make this, I'm within a touchdown and a field goal of winning this ball game.
An encouraging thing for Saskatchewan. They're showing signs offensively here in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
High snap. Stu Fraser will not be able to do anything with it. The Riders will come away with nothing. 21-9 is the score. 10:27 left in the ball game. We'll be right back. Almost right over Stu Fraser. He managed to haul it down, but Harry skipper Andre Francis were there, and the Riders had the ball for 4 minutes 33 seconds as you look at it again, and they marched from their own 29-yard line because of the bad snap. They come away with absolutely no points. They still trail 21-9, turn the ball over on downs. 1st and 10 for the Concorde at their own 16-yard line. Quickly, Turner Gill tries to go to Todd Brown. And that one really wasn't anywhere near the receiver.
That's what I'm trying to see.
Larry Tilio with the signals once again. The CFL fan opinion poll. Should the CFL change to 4 downs? And there are the phone numbers for you to vote accordingly.
Dale, can we vote without paying the 50 cents?
A local call, huh?
2nd down and 10. Turner Gill's intercepted by James Reed. Better get down, James, and he is at the 28-yard line. A big defensive play.
First turnover of the football game to go against the Concorde. Reed, number 57, looked right in the way of the intended receiver. I couldn't tell who the receiver was on there, Dale. I don't know if you noticed, but James Reed trying to do a little fancy footwork after making the catch.
Watch the hit on Gill just after he let the ball go. I think it's Rick Moore. Oh, Rick Goltz. 1st down, Saskatchewan. The interception by James Reed, his 2nd of the season. The ball at the Montreal 29. Craig Ellis caught from behind by Doug Scott and then pinned at about the 23-yard line by Ken Shanconi. 9:20 remaining in the ball game. A pickup of 6 yards. 2nd down and 4.
Craig Ellis caught 13 passes against the Concorde last year in the ballgame. His career high. He's got 11 here tonight. They're just dumping the ball out there quite consistently.
Alcon 2nd down. Going.
What a grab.
Ken Moore again. 1st down, Saskatchewan at the 16-yard line.
Well, I'll tell you what, that helps your passing percentage. That ball low and outside. And Ken Moore, number 74, went down and made a shoestring grab.
He's caught 3 for 28, and the former tight end of the University of Hawaii maybe wants to be a receiver in this league. He's tired of being a backup lineman. Alcon coming back. Mike Collymore makes his first catch and goes down at the 9-yard line after being hit by Harry Skipper, and that's where they'll spot the ball is actually between the 8 and 9. Ken Shanconi actually finished him off. It's close to the 8-yard line, so it's a pickup of 7 yards.
Looked like he might get away from him just for a moment there. That was Skipper that went over the top of him. So a very favorable position for Saskatchewan because they actually have 4 or 5 downs now to get that ball in the end zone. Dale said they could get a 1st down with 2 more yards. They got their short yardage team in there now.
Pitch to Ellis. He won't get it. Pushed back, and there's a flag. I think Ellis got back to the line of scrimmage barely. Penalty mark on the side. Shea making the tackle.
Shades of last Friday in Toronto, gentlemen. 3rd and short, Saskatchewan.
Is it ever?
It may not be 3rd and short. I think that penalty was against the Riders. Ray Elgard jumped a little bit too quickly.
I think the Roughrider offense, can move the ball. They just can't put it in the end zone.
Procedure, Saskatchewan number 81. Decline.
Well, Joe Galatte's going to put the ball into Ghana's corner, and Ghana's responding with the field goal team again. 7:45 remaining.
Well, we kind of wondered about it last time, Frank. I really questioned it this time.
Oh, boy. Apparently, it's about 4 yards, or 3.5 yards. So, in those circumstances, I guess that's the right call.
17-yard field goal attempt. It is good, and now it is a 21-12 ball game in favor of Montreal over Saskatchewan with 7:26 remaining. And we'll be back with more in just a moment. July evening. But right now, the Saskatchewan Roughriders will kick off following the field goal by David Ridgway. They trail with 7:26 remaining in the ball game. Ridgway puts it deep. Vince Faison from his own 7-yard line. Faison out to the 30, and that's as far as he's going. Jerry Friesen makes the tackle, a 22-yard return.
Made by Jerry Friesen, number 50.
Time now becoming a factor in this ball game. 7:21 remains.
First and 10, starting from the 40-yard line.
Maybe Jocko figures they can get in and Ridgway can kick 3 more field goals and in a tie.
Well, I think he's putting the pressure right on his defense. You got to get that ball back.
Joe trying to set up the screen. He finally finds Tomaselli behind the blocking of Fairbanks, and Tomaselli has a first down out at the 44-yard line. Good hard running for 14 yards, and Eddie Lowe, Glenn Suter making the tackle. Signals from Joe Galatte once more. Concord will be in Vancouver a week from tomorrow night. We'll have that for you on CTV. That is the initial first down of the Concord here in the 4th quarter. Won by Tomaselli. They're at their 44-yard line. Gill down the middle. Intercepted by Glenn Suter. Deflected by Nick Araki, the intended receiver, right up into Suter's arms. So the Riders have their second interception in the past couple of minutes. And boy, the defense is really doing its job now.
Sure are. It was actually a great attempt to make the reception by Araki. Watch this. Had he not made such a good effort, Saskatchewan would not have picked it up. A big break for the Green Riders. Watch Turner Gill dropping back. This time a pretty good time to throw the football. He does take a shot from Doolin after it's gone.
Boy, Turner's going to have some bruises after this game. They've been really hitting him.
He's taking him full force, right dead on, too, isn't he?
Here's Pawpaw again. Ray Elgard is wide open. First down at the 39-yard line. He had to hold up and reach behind him to make that catch for a 17-yard gain. And it's another indication when Champoni made the tackle where Pawpaw not throwing the ball real sharp tonight. A little bit off, even on the short pattern.
I'll tell you, that guy is really impressing me. We, of course, have had the opportunity to do 2 out of the first 3 games for Saskatchewan, and well, just looked outstanding.
Paul Martin is down and injured again. Just a note about Joe Pawpaw. He set a club record last week with 35 completions against the Argonauts. He's got 34 completions here tonight.
He also, yardage-wise, Dale, the first 2 games, I think, ranked him 2nd and 3rd in all-time single-game passing.
Actually, a correction, 1st and 2nd. The other one was a playoff game. It's 21-12 for Montreal. We'll be back in a moment. Taylor Field reacting again with a chorus of boos because of an injury to a Montreal player. Certainly not called for. First down for Saskatchewan from the Montreal 39. Craig Ellis brings back inside, gets away from 1 man, and then is caught by Paul Gray at the 34-yard line for a pickup of 5. Riders tonight have picked up 21 first downs, 17 of them passing.
Dale, the fans are just convinced that Montreal are delaying the game with these injuries. What they don't know, while Paul Martin was down, that wide receiver Jeff Patterson has left the game very quietly with an injured injured foot arch. He'll be out for the rest of the evening, it looks like.
Craig Ellis in the middle. It's wide open. Inside the 20 to the 16-yard line. First down. Harry Skipper made the tackle.
Boy, that was a plenty good tackle, too, in the open field. A 17-yard gain that time to Ellis. And you see him just finding that seam and that zone defense as they drop back. 4:36 remains. We got a ball game now. 9-point deficit. The Riders trying to make up.
That would be a new club record for foul call and completions. His 36th completion of the night, and the record for a game is 41. That's set by Dieter Brock. There's one-on-one. Krista France, a great open field tackle by Vince Faison at the 15-yard line. Holds the gain to about 2.5 yards.
Well, obviously, Papa, with those statistics, is throwing a very high percentage type of passes. He has not been successful throwing the ball downfield very far. Big part of the reason why they haven't got it in the end zone yet. They need to do that right now.
They have to score a touchdown. Craig Ellis, did he make the catch? Yes, he did, but he was stopped by Aaron Hill right at the 14-yard line.
It wouldn't have mattered. It was really basically no gain anyway. Uh-oh.
What do we got here?
Ellis applauding the decision, whatever it was. Well, it's 3rd down and 8 now, and Saskatchewan's going to go for it. The field goal puts them within a converted touchdown. Now they gamble on 3rd and 8. You figure that one out.
Oh, boy. Foul into the middle.
Oh, interference.
Oh, there's no interference. I don't believe it. He knocked Craig Ellis down before the ball got there. That was Phil Jones, the safety.
Oh, we have to take a look at that again. What a key play in this football game.
21-12 is the score. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
The ball's still 3 or 4 yards away. What a bad break for the Riders.
That was 3rd down, and now the Montreal Concord have the ball back. Thomas Selly makes a fine catch in full stride, stepping out at the 23-yard line. I think he'll be just shy of the first down by about a yard. It was 1st and 10 from the 14. We have 2:52 remaining in the ball game and a 21-12 lead for Montreal.
What a key catch that was for the young fullback. Obviously hurt himself as he went a good 10-15 yards out of bounds with that momentum. Turner Gill getting instructions from Joe Galat. Jerry DiTilio at the sideline.
We will have the answer of our fan opinion poll in just a few moments. Thomas Selly taking the handoff from Turner Gill on 2nd down and 1. Looks like he has the first down. Montreal Concord 2 minutes and 48 seconds away from turning their record to 3 wins and no losses.
All against Western opposition, a dominant factor in the East-West competition.
And they have one more Western team to play next week. They'll be out in D.C. a week from tomorrow. Before they finally go home and play Hamilton. Turner Gill to Dwayne Wilson. Rick Moore was there to stop him for a big loss on the play. A little tangled up as well. It looked like their face guards locked for a moment.
Those had an outstanding game for Saskatchewan as well. The loss is going to be almost 7 yards as you see him immediately on pass receiver.
Well, the There's no doubt, especially here in the fourth quarter, that the Rider defense has done its job and has given the offense the football on a couple of occasions with interceptions, good field position. The offense just hasn't been able to do anything except kick one more field goal, and some other things go bad for him. Rick Moore in there again to put the stop on him. They rule that the ball came loose. Rick Moore has got it.
He's going to go out of this ball game doing something like that. Watch Rick Moore here. He actually gets held on the play. I believe it's Big Miles Gurrell. He started up. You'll be able to see it, I'm sure. Stop it right there. You can see Gurrell just grabbing him around the jersey from the back. Moore making two outstanding defensive plays. Very upset with the officials for not calling it a fumble. 1:58 remains now as the Concord are going to burn as much time away as they can before kicking this football.
5 seconds left on the 20-second clock. There's your tag. Good punt. Chases Fran McDermott all the way back to his 45-yard line, and the first man downfield, Aaron Hill, makes the tackle on him. So Saskatchewan has the ball back with 1:34 remaining, and this has been a weird football game.
Well, the fourth quarter, Saskatchewan has knocked on the door so many times and come away with just one field goal. The last time they had the football, they gambled on 3rd and 8, where a field goal would have put them 6 points down. They trail by 9.
Riders at their own 48. 1st and 10. Pow to Elgard, almost intercepted by Harry Skipper. Well overthrown. Minute and a half remaining. Michael Elarms needs a couple more yards for a first down, I think. Where's he going to get a spot? Oh, the Rider bench is upset.
I would be too.
Somebody got a late hit in there. Harry Skipper making the tackle on Elarms.
2 yards off the field when that second contact was made. I think it was
I'll get McKay and Billy Jackson.
number 8, Aaron Hill, that came in there late.
Well, we're going to get the yardsticks brought all the way across the field to get a measurement on this one. 1:23 left in the ball game. 9-point lead for Montreal.
Well, it's hard to believe that Saskatchewan could move 52 yards, score, and the Concord give up the ball and have them score again with just that much time remaining. That was a very important first down because they didn't have to waste any time picking it up on 3rd down.
Now a penalty marker comes down, and Pow going deep for Mike Collymore, and Andre Francis is there to break it up. There's a penalty marker thrown right at the line of scrimmage. Uh-oh. Objectionable conduct, I believe the call is against Saskatchewan. As this one deteriorates into bad feeling on the part of the Riders towards the officials.
Well, I don't know if it was on Roger Aldag, but he certainly was one of the people very upset with that apparent late hit in the previous play. 1:12 now. Saskatchewan putting themselves in pretty tough shape right now. 2nd and 20.
Pow stepping up, guns it down the middle, knocked down by Vince Faison, intended for Ray Elgard. .107 left. Third down now for the Riders. 20 yards to go. They have to get to the Montreal 41 for a first down.
I don't know if the fans voted for the fourth down inclusion in the CFL, but I think Saskatchewan fans would vote for that right now.
Right at this moment, they sure would. Pow, airing it out. Mike Collymore, the intended receiver, and it's knocked away. Aaron Hill and Harry Skipper team up to make the play defensively, and Montreal will take over the football at the Saskatchewan 49-yard line.
Well, that should do it for the Concordes to pick up their third straight victory of the young 1985 season. And it's no wonder football fever is coming back in Montreal. Joe Gillette obviously very, very happy, shaking the hand of Doug Scott, Andre Francis, et al.
Gill passes to Tony Johns, who's into the ball game now for the Montreal Concorde, and he gets inside the Saskatchewan 45 to about the 44-yard line. Rick Goltz getting over there to make the stop. Tony Johns, a rookie out of Henderson State, the Concorde first draft choice this year. 6 foot, 225 pounds. Clock is running, 40 seconds left. Second down and 5. Again, the toss to Johns, and he picks up 1 or 2 more. It'll be third down. Jackson making the tackle. Saskatchewan, after a tough loss last week in Toronto, now look at a 1-2 record, and they get the bye next week.
Well, I think Montreal is just going to go ahead and take the penalty here. They are running down the clock while they change people. It's down to 5 seconds now. They're not going to get this one off. Just a second.
So the clock is stopped with 9 seconds left and will not start again until the ball is put in play. Not that it'll matter at this point.
Calculation, Montreal, third down.
So Mike McTagg is in, and this punch should finish off this ball game officially. Riders have 1 man back. That's Stu Fraser. He'll rush 10, and Mike McTagg will run around and use up more time.
Mike, that's no good for your rushing average.
And he has taken it down to no time left, and now he just goes down with the football at his own 39-yard line, and that'll do it. This football game has come to an end here at Taylor Field, with the visiting Montreal Concorde defeating the Saskatchewan Roughriders 21-12. And Joe Gillette, 3 straight wins to begin the 1985 regular season after going undefeated in preseason. Really, they've put together a fine ball club in Montreal.
Well, they came in here last year and took it away from Saskatchewan right in Taylor Field. Montreal obviously enjoying a very nice position in the Eastern Division of the Canadian Football League. We hope that we can get Joe Gillette over to the sideline and have Al McCann talk to him. It's got to be a very happy Joe Gillette as we